Good morning to everybody. The training of today is regarding the ALDREN Building Renovation Passport. We will be two speakers, partners of this project. I'm Marta Maria Cesana from Politecnico di Milano, and there will be also my colleague Simon Ligier from CESTB in France. Let's start directly with what we call the definition of our ALDREN Building Renovation Passport. We said, after a very deep investigation on existing experience and ongoing initiative, we would like to create a current element in a common European solution. What we are going to present, me and my colleague, Simon. Here you can see an index of the topic that we are going to see in detail. First of all, I will start with setting the scene of the context of where we are now, clarify which are the ALDREN BRP objective. Then we will go through an overview of the ALDREN Building Renovation Passport, describing more in detail the protocol that you should follow for the creation of the Building Renovation Passport, and then a specific focus on the two main elements on which the ALDREN BRP is composed, the Building Logbook and the Renovation Roadmap. Then from the theory, let's say, we will go to practice. So we will apply the ALDREN BRP protocol, checking in detail, step by step, the procedure, and then applying directly these steps to two pilot case studies. Finally, we will conclude remarking the key points of the ALDREN BRP, and finally, we will present some Q&As where that normally stakeholders, different kind of pose to us regarding the BRP. So let's start. Europe faces a momentous challenge in view of the full decarbonization by 2050, as stated in the European Green Deal. And the Renovation Wave initiative will be address a current low decarbonization rate of around 100%, because currently roughly 75% of building stock is energy efficient, and yet almost 80% of today buildings will still be in use in 2050. So therefore, building renovation is central topic even to the post-COVID-19 economic recovery, as well specifically referred in the recovery plan published in May 2020. So the ALDREN project aims at avoiding the risk of lock-in effects by developing an ALDREN building renovation passport and testing its respective protocols on non-residential building pilots that we are going to present to example today. So which are the real objective of creating a building renovation passport? Because the ALDREN goal, as I just said, is to avoid the lock-in effect, but also providing a tailored building renovation passport to undertake into account owner's need, desire, and financial risk. At the same time, the lockdown made even more evident the need to have a building stock climate resilient, climate proof, comfortable, safe, and adaptive to the owner needs. If we consider all those aspects in a unique grid picture, it derives the urgent need to set up a long-term renovation plan with modular, flexible, and comprehensible instrument. In this framework, we started to set up and identify which are the objectives on which base the construction of our building renovation passport. First of all, to create something compliancy and harmonized to the European situation. in order to become a comparable instrument all over Europe, but also to be reliable, because at the end, expectation of the renovation roadmap should be reached in reality. How to do that? We need a common language to create an harmonization to favor communication between all the involved stakeholders and provide indicator even to financial support to achieve the EU climate targets. And as I said, now it's the moment to act, because we need now to consider 2050 and to be ready, because we need not only to decrease the energy consumption, but at the same time to improve health and well-being. And how to do that? Defining roadmaps with a specific target, nearly zero energy building. How to do that? Okay, let's start with this topic, providing you an overview of the ALDREN BRP. As I said, we need to prepare something user-friendly. And so we need to create a tool that, from one end, inform and motivate not only building owner, but even investor to undertake renovation, but also a tool by which government can bring tangible support to consumers. So that's the reason why for the application of the ALDREN BRP protocols, at the end, you can reach three specific indicators, KPI we call, being a European project, on which it's clear since the beginning which are the energy saving per year, which are the renewable energy production, but even which are the investment cost of the proposed renovation action to reach the energy saving. But let's underline some parts. The ALDREN Building Renovation Passport focus on non-residential building, and in particular on two typologies, office and hotel. The core concept of the passport is dual composition in two elements, the building logbook and the renovation roadmap, which make our passport a complementary tool to the European Performance Certificate that is mandatory, with the aim to increase the owner awareness on what is now your building, but even to support him for its regular daily operation, providing tailored-made renovation roadmap. So let's try to go more in deep. The whole ALDREN approach foresees different calculation protocols according to the topic in which is focused the analysis. I will refer to the previous training of my partner colleagues to go in detail for each of the modules that are rendered at the end in the building renovation passport. You can see here in this slide that are represented by stamps, like normal stamps that you reach on your passport when you travel, because we need to give and remark the importance to see this passport as something dynamic and that could be through the time updated. It could be seen as a building journey. That's because we created a passport with a flexible and modular structure based on these 8 modules. These modules are correlated each other, I mean they can share data, but are at the same time independent by each other. Because, as we will see, and I will stress on it even later, it's not obliged to fulfill all the modules to create the ALDREN Building Renovation Passport, but it will depend on the owner will. Okay, Described like that seems a very easy thing. In reality, we work a lot and we refer to even literature to understand how to manage the amount of data that are usually available over the life cycle of the building. The ALDREN data model, in fact, is composed by a lot of data. Over the life cycle, a lot of available data are usually generated and gathered. Think about during the design phase or the construction or the operational itself, and often with different objectives like cost management, operation, and so on. However, this information is often are largely not yet organized and managed in a systematic way. Some information, for example, only benefits few market players, or sometimes information has to be recreated several times, and often almost none stay in the same hands of the property owner. And at the end, information are spread over many places and tools without a safely storing, digitization, and updating, causing oftenly a missing point. So what we decide to do? Across Europe, there are many different ongoing initiatives, and so we decide to create a unique database where we collect our knowledge. And as you can see from this pyramid, we start to decrease and focus on the real data that we need, increasing the knowledge of our building. And we try to create a building logbook that summarize all the information collected and needed in a unique place, because the objective is to not lose knowledge and to facilitate, as I said before, even the communication between stakeholders. Entering the focus of the building logbook, you can see that 6 are the modules in which is composed, and as I already anticipated, are not all mandatory. They are created in a unique Excel file, and again, we have chosen this software in order to create a user-friendly tool, and we thought that is a well-known software that can be used by the most people. Let's now see in detail how really looks like this Excel file. The first, as you can see, this label corresponds exactly to what I show you here. The 6 model, even in colors, in order to support the auditor to fill in. In the first sheet, you can find an easy README sheet with a brief instruction where are summarized the steps of the protocol. Then we will, my colleague Simon later on will present in detail. Then there is a legend to support you in the compilation, the filling in of this file. And very important that was done is a source of compliancy from where you can be sure that the specific indicator could be found. So quickly, let's see how it looks like, the first 6 module of the building logbook. In the heading, you will always be sure where you are in the building logbook on the RenoMap, the name of the module, and the stamp you will reach at the end of the application of the module. As you can see here in the first column, you can check the source, and easily you can come back in README and check where it is from. It's structured in macro families and subcategories. For example, for envelope, that is the macro family, then there is wall, window, floor, and so on. And the same for all the topic, as I said. So the first is the building picture, then we have the energy rating and target, Then we have the energy verification. Comfort and well-being is the number 4. Cost, value, and risk is the number 5. And then documentation and BIM. This 6th has no source here, but in respect the other, you can find references to the importance of having this indicator useful for the previous or other modules in which the BRP is composed. So now here you can see what I already told to you. The ALDREN database is the base of the pyramid that we have seen in the previous slide, and the unique worksheet that I started to show to you is here. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Simon to present you in detail the renovation roadmap.
Okay, thank you, Marta. I'm Simon Ligier. I will now make a focus on the RenoMap part of the ALDREN Building Renovation Passport. So RenoMap stands for Renovation Roadmap, and it's a component of the passport. Why and how do we place this tool in the passport? It's because it's related to EPBD recommendations, who ask to provide tools to support building owners in short and long-term strategies to renovate their buildings. And we are dealing here with non-residential buildings, so office and hotels mainly. Why to include such a tool in our passport? It's quite logical because we hope that renovation projects will be consistent events which will trigger the use of new tools like this passport. And this passport will include like past and present information concerning the building, but will also set goals and potentials for the future of the building, which is related to our roadmap. What is the contribution of this RenoMap tool to a retrofit project? First, it's important to know that it should be used at an early stage of this kind of project, and it's a tool to support the decision to design the work on the retrofit project. So it's based mainly on a detailed current state evaluations, also an energy audit mainly, as other ALDREN tasks protocols. And it's also based on different tools like modeling and simulation softwares, for example, but also different procedures and standards. The goals related to these retrofit projects are to shape the design and also to avoid the lock-in effect. But we can define other objectives, both for immediate and long-term goals and purposes. The first objective and the related outcome of the RenoMap is to set a list of renovation actions, NZEB compliant renovation actions, which could be implemented on the building. When I mention NZEB compliant, that means a relative A level for the energy labels, or a 60% energy consumption decrease. So this first outcome is both for the immediate needs for the coming renovation project, but also for the long-term knowledge, which will be kept and capitalized in the passport. The second outcome is to evaluate reference states of the building, mainly the current situation and the current global performance of the existing building, but also the final renovation potential if we implement all the actions which were defined in the first list. This second outcome is also for immediate and long-term needs. The third objective is to help the owner to support his decision for the coming renovation project with a multi-criteria analysis, so a global overview of the situation and also avoid the lock-in effect. So the idea is to define the primary renovation packages to implement on the building. And finally, the last outcome is a long-term timeline along the building life cycle to set the remaining elementary renovation actions, which ERAS means, on a temporal scale. The idea is to concentrate most of the work on the short-term description of the coming renovation actions, but also to set general guidelines for the long-term period. So let's see what are the components of the RenoMap. There are two main modules in the Excel tool Marta showed before. The M7 module is the evaluation table of elementary renovation actions. The second main module is the step-by-step roadmap, with the detailed indicators to support decision. There are also two guidance sheets in the Building Renovation Passport Excel tool. The M9 and M10 sheets, I will go back to the Excel file to show you that. And also a strategy guidance sheet to help to design the renovation packages. So let's come back to Excel. So here we can see the M7 Excel sheets with an empty tool. Here are presented all the general elementary renovation actions to consider on the building. So the ALDREN assessor in the initial audit, if the RenoMap is applied, will also consider how to implement all these actions on the actual building, considering all the energy systems, all the facades, and so on. The second main module is this one with all the indicators, but I will maybe present them later on an example. And we can also see two guidance sheets to help you to define this RenoMap. I'd like now to talk about the detailed protocol of this tool. There are the main steps to apply the roadmap. Related to the other ALDREN tasks, first, interview with the owner is needed to know which are his projects and which actions you'd like to see in the coming renovation project. Then detailed audit has to be made to define the current situation of the building and also to define the elementary renovation actions to be specified on the M7 module. Then these actions have to be evaluated with qualitative indicators, and also they have to be presented to the owner to know his point of view concerning all the actions. So with these first steps, we have the first main outcome of the RenoMap, which is the list of NZEB elementary renovation actions. From there, we can make more quantitative evaluation. First, evaluation of the reference states of the building, mainly the existing stage and the full renovated building. So we will conduct energy simulation and also other global evaluation related, for example, to IEQ or financial elements. We will then process the strategy guidance to create the primary renovation project. So I will show you this Excel document, which presents the ALDREN RenoMap protocol with more details, like a complete description of each task and also the needed inputs, like guidance, and outputs, mainly the modules of the building renovation passport. Just a quick focus on the indicators to help the decision and to highlight the fact that we are talking about global evaluation with multi-criteria approach. So there are two different levels of evaluation. The first one is related to the elementary renovation actions, mainly with qualitative indicators. They are sorted by priority level, and they are related to the obsolescence of existing components, the preferences of the owner, the possible economic benefits of a change of certain components, the energy performance improvements, and also the technical constraints to take into account and the interactions between these elementary renovation actions. So at this first level, we are dealing with evaluation at a component scale, not yet at a building scale. The second level is at the building scale and consists of more quantitative indicators, mainly related to energy efficiency. So following task 2.2 and task 2.3 of ALDREN protocols, we will evaluate the energy consumptions in standard or actual conditions depending on the owner preferences or national context. We will also evaluate some financial indicators from task 2.5 related to investment cost, but also global cost. Then we will also consider internal environment quality indicators related to the predictile index defined in task 2.4. So this was a quick focus on the RenoMap part of the passport. Let's now come back on the overall procedure steps for the building renovation passport creation. So the first step is related to the initial contacts with the owner and aims at delimiting the study by choosing the modules to implement. So it's the main part of this step is to conduct an interview, to present the modules, and to select them. So yes, you can note that not all the build log modules are mandatory. The second step is more related to groundwork to a data collection from different sources and the creation of the database gathering all this rough information. So in this step, an audit has to be conducted on site in accordance with the owner. And all the documents have to be collected, both digital and paper versions, for example, plans of the building, existing studies, existing energy studies, existing energy performance certificates, and so on. Then this information could first be integrated in the BuildLog modules. Yes, mainly in the first modules. The step 3 is related to the different ALDREN tasks, protocols, and methodologies. So for each module, there are some indicators that have to be calculated related to all the components of ALDREN. These indicators are gathered in the BuildLog modules. So all the results are in the passport. Some of these outputs from ALDREN tasks will be necessary inputs for the RenoMap application and yes, the RenoMap creation, mainly to define the current existing state of the building. The fourth step of the overall protocol procedure to set the building renovation passport is related to the RenoMap. So just a brief comeback on these steps. So they are related to the definition of elementary renovation actions and the evaluation of these actions, presentation of this table to the owner, and the creation of the primary packages to implement on the coming renovation project. Finally, the last step is the conclusion of the process to deliver the building renovation passport in both digital and paper versions. The project is also concluded with a final meeting with the owner to present these outcomes. In this slide are presented and summarized the main inputs and outputs concerning the building renovation passport in ALDREN project. So from the gathering of information in the ALDREN database, the application of different tasks related to energy performance, energy verification, indoor environment quality, financial valuation, allow the calculation of indicators to describe the performance of the current building. These results are gathered in the different modules of the passports and allow to set a direction in the future by applying the renovation roadmap, which will help to design the coming renovation and the long-term strategies for the building. All this information are gathered in the different versions of the passport, both paper and digital versions. It also includes an energy voluntary certificate, which is like a summary of the results. Let's now have a look on the application of this procedure on two pilots. The first one is a French office building constructed in the 70s, and it's a high tower of 28 floors near Paris. So on this pilot, the following modules have been applied. So mainly concerning the general information of the building, the energy performance, some were concerning the thermal comfort related to module 4, and also the application of the RenoMap process. The information about the location of the building, about climate, geometry, and more technical information concerning the envelope of the building, and also the energy systems like heating, cooling, ventilation. So all the technical informations are gathered in this first module. The second module is related to the energy performance calculation. So in order to have the energy label, so it's mostly related to task 2.2 of the ALDREN protocols. So here I also gathered some of the necessary inputs for building energy simulation tools. So it's related to the envelope components and thermal resistance, but also to the windows and so on, and the energy systems. I will mainly speak about the application of the RenoMap process. So from the initial energy audit, a first list of elementary renovation actions were defined. So for each general section in white, the ALDREN assessor has checked all the constraints and all the possible improvements to implement on the building. So the identified actions are related to the insulation of the external walls, insulation of surfaces, the change of windows, the addition of shading device and the control of this device, the change of the ventilation system, and some changes concerning the heating and cooling systems. It's important to notice that we didn't consider on this pilot a change of heating or cooling system because the building is linked to a district heating and district cooling system, which is quite efficient. So here are all the actions defined in the first step of the RenoMap protocol. Then all these actions were evaluated with these main indicators related to obsolescence level of the components, owner will, economic benefits, and energy efficiency improvements. So comparing the initial state of the component and the final design state, we are able to evaluate these different criteria. One of the main opportunity to consider related to the owner will is the change of tenants, which is planned in the following year of the study, which is a very huge opportunity to make a retrofit project. So from this evaluation table of elementary renovation actions. The strategy guidance and the strategy algorithm was applied to sort all these actions by considering this priority level, and the packages of actions were gathered in the second module of the RenoMap, the M8 modules, which we can see there. So 4 main packages were constituted with the actions and evaluated with energy simulation and also other ALDREN protocols. From these results, the owner has the choice to implement only the first immediate primary package, or also to implement other packages of actions. So he has all the indicators to decide which is the best way for depending on his objectives. So he can refer to energy performance. Here are the results for final energy consumption from the energy simulation, standard evaluation, which is the energy label, cost indicators, and also thermal comfort indicators. At the top of this module are gathered the summary of the results and also the labels and the long-term trajectory of the energy consumption. I will now leave the floor to Marta. She will present another case study.
Thank you, Simon. Now let's see another application of the protocol to a pilot case study in Italy. Again, the typology is office building, but it was quite different, the starting point, because it was a building constructed in 1900 and renovated in 2014. Located here in Italy is an office building of the campus of Politecnico di Milano in Lecco. And so, as you did for your exam pilot case in France, let's see again and refollow step by step the procedure in order to give to a possible new ALDREN auditor an example of how to do the procedure. So first of all, as you said before very well, we have the step 1, that it's important to underline how we give importance to the owner, his need and the will. And so during the first interview, he will, after presentation of the ALDREN auditor to the owner, we will select together which module of the ALDREN BRP they would like to focus for the analysis. In our case, we start so during the step 2 for the data collection, and if you have had the chance to see with Simon, the different data will be then collected in the different module. For example, the technical data for envelope and so on will be collected between module 1 and module 2 of the build log, but even data regarding the system plant. And then there will be the step 2, as I said. Once collected, we will start creating the ALDREN database, populating only the selected modules, and then following the respective protocols that the other training will present in detail, that correspond exactly to the task that already even Simon referred to. For example, task 2.3 will become module 3 in the building logbook. will follow the respective protocol for the calculation. In our case, we use the software Transys to simulate the energy analysis for this office building. We use a specific weather file. Why I'm telling this detailed information? Because, for example, it's important for, let's say, in the future to update our building renovation passport to know which is the file and which is the typology of the file used for the simulation. And so all this kind of information will be collected in the module 6 of the documentation and BIM in order to become more fluent and to not lose information between one audit and the following, and to keep really updated the building renovation passport. Once concluded the simulation and the calculation according to the protocols, the results will be integrated within, again, the modules of the build log, and then will become an important input, some of them, as Simon said, to understand the current state of the components of the building, and the auditor to start to select some of the elementary renovation action to propose to the owner. Then, according to the owner will, but even the obsolescence and the other factors that Simon present better in detail, he will start to create the RenoMap. After that, after the first analysis on the single and individual eras, there will be clustered into primary renovation packages within the module 8 of the BRP, and in this way the digital version of the ALDREN BRP will be ready. As already seen, 2 will be the possibility for the owner to have and to see the passport, because we decided to arrive at this definition 2 kind of version, following even the suggestion of the ALDREN Alliance and Stakeholders community that suggest us many times that the owner is one of the most important actors to be considered along the building value chain. And considering that for non-residential building could be represented by different target groups, even with different knowledge background, the BRP of ALDREN has been developed in these 2 versions, digital and paper, to facilitate not only the use but even the data comprehension. And in this way, it could be provide also core and overall indicator, as you can see here in the paper version, according to the reader. Could be an owner or a public authority or an auditor. Here, only for clear individuation, we have rendered the pages of the paper version of the building pilot in Italy. So you can see a summary of the main indicator in the front page after the cover of the passport. Then always is very clear if it's a build log or a RenoMap model. And then the core indicator taken from the Excel, the digital version, are rendered here in 1 page per module. So if you remind, we choose only module 1, module 2, module 4. That maybe I forgot to better describe this part. I will do now. Regarding the tail, that is a rating developed within the project by colleagues. We were able to make a monitoring campaign real in the building that permit us to understand the real condition of the of this parameter regarding temperature, air quality, luminance, and indoor air quality. Before renovation stands for the current situation, and after renovation considering the renovation action proposed by the RenoMap. You can see here summarized the primary renovation packages, and here is the timeline for the roadmap of to reach the target of NZEB. So let's go to the conclusion. According to what we have said, we can summarize in those rendered in this table as the main success factor of the ALDREN BRP. First of all, we stress a lot on the importance to be compliant with the European solution and harmonized in order to not be only an instrument comprehensible, but even regarding a lot the procedure for the building data gathering, as you can see from our presentation. Two are the main elements in which we structure the building renovation passport. And another important thing is that is very clear the target of our passport is for non-residential building, and the energy target is NZEB. You can refer to a specific protocol step by step for the creation of the passport, considering a lot user willing and owner suggestion and needs. What is important for user? They can refer in future to a unique instrument, considering a common language. They can understood and increase their awareness on the current state of the building, but even on what is really feasible for renovate the building, in which time and in investing how much money. This is mainly what we concluded, and we are very welcome for your attention. To really conclude our presentation, Simone and I, we have prepared and summarized here 4 main questions that stakeholders are used to ask and pose to us regarding the ALDREN Building Renovation Passport. I will start with the first 2, and then I will leave the floor to him to conclude with the second 2. ALDREN BRP has been defined as a dynamic instrument updated through the time, but how will it really work in practice? Okay, so let's make an example. We have seen in detail the procedure and the step-by-step, and we can say that the ALDREN process data flow can be outlined on a timeline, where the beginning represent the up-to-date condition of the non-residential building, that here is represented by the, let's say, point 0, the step 0, and it's followed by the data collection in step 1. Then following, there is the data population in the build log, and then after the protocol application, I will never enter in detail again, but you got it, the point. There will be a clear data flow between build log and RenoMap for the creation of the renovation roadmap. And concluding all the calculation, the first version of the ALDREN BRP, it's ready. But then through the time, owner can decide to really follow and apply the eras and the primary renovation packages proposed. So this means that at the end of the application of the renovation action, the passport is not anymore updated. So it needs to restart with the data update of the building logbook, restart the update even of the RenoMap, and after that the passport is again ready to be used because it's up to date of the current situation. And we can go on this because the final point is to reach the NZEB target. ALDREN BRP is only for non-residential building. Okay, this is a very frequent question. During the project, we were a lot in contact with other projects that were developing building renovation passport or other initiative. And what ALDREN experience underlined is the particular needs and procedural for building that are non-residential or residential. Referring to the building owner, for example, in case of residential buildings, capacity to involve engineer studies are limited to support household in structuring their renovation project, paving the way towards ambitious target. Private homeowner mostly adopt the step-by-step renovation for a financial reason, for example. In case of non-residential building, in particular on large cases, the scenario may be different. In those cases, the time frame in which realize the renovation strategies could be a very leverage point to decide if applying or not the renovation. For example, the choice of solution which permit the non-stop service as a hotel, or a quick and not invasive solution to renovate, etc. What we can conclude is that the building renovation passport to be for both residential and non-residential buildings could not be the same, but they could share the main structure. For sure, into the two elements, as we did for ALDREN, the building logbook and the renovation roadmap. But both those two parts, they will have different detail indicators in function, for example, of the building typology and the owner needs. I will now leave the floor to Simon.
Yes. Okay, another very frequent technical question related to the RenoMap. Should we consider standard or actual conditions to evaluate the building energy performance? So yes, a lot of inputs for the softwares for building energy simulation could be standard values related to national standard and laws, or reflect more the operational conditions, the actual condition of the building. So the answer to this question is it depends. It depends on owner objectives and priorities, and also it depends on national context. For example, a recent French law is the Décret tertiaire, which refers to objectives to decrease energy consumptions, considering final energy and actual energy with all the uses. So in this context, it might be more useful to make the study, the RenoMap procedure, with actual conditions to assess with more accuracy the actual consumption. In other contexts, it could be more important to evaluate the standard performance with laws or reference to energy labels. So for example, if a B label is required to sell a building, it would be needed to calculate the standard energy consumption. So yes, it depends. Last question, do we need to update also the renovation roadmap part of the passport at each renovation project? Yes, this passport is a dynamic tool, as Marta said, and the main objective of the RenoMap is to help to support decision for the design of the coming renovation project. So some outcomes of the RenoMap could be reused, mainly the definition of all the possible actions, and also the evaluation of the full potential renovated building. But we concentrate all the effort on a short-term study to shape the project. So at each new project, it will be necessary to conduct again the RenoMap process. I will thank you for this training and leave Marta with the last words.
Thank you, Simon, to you and to all the trainer. We hope that you enjoy and you understood clearly the ALDREN building renovation procedure. We would like to invite you to join the ALDREN Alliance to test the ALDREN building renovation passport and in general to all the protocols for the creation of this tool. Thank you very much to all, and follow us on our website and our channel. Thank you.